Good evening, everyone, and welcome to my heroes video, where I talk about the heroes of Kamen Rider Geats. And this video is mostly me talking to you about my overall thoughts and opinions of each and every hero in Kamen Rider Geats, character growth, why I like them, why I dislike them, and briefly, give my overall take on their suits. And I think that's pretty much it. I did this structure with heroes and villains for Revise, so might as well do the same for Geats. I will also do a villains video talking about the villains, and at the end of the villains video, I'm just gonna give you guys a brief opinion of what I thought about Kamen Rider Geats as a whole. One thing's for sure, I will not give you guys an origin story because one, you guys already seen the show, and number two, it will take really long to add a bio story. So I already imagine that this video is going to be long, so I don't want to make it longer than it should be. But at the same time, I want to give this video justice, and at the end of the day, it's just opinions. You could agree or disagree, but at the end of the day, we all are Kamen Rider fans. And so, let us begin. Also, one last thing too. This is based on memory, a year's worth of memories. I don't have notes in front of me, and whatever comes out, comes out. And if I miss any important facts about any character that you want to add, just write in the comments below and we will discuss. Without further ado, let us begin. So, let us start with Ace. Ace is a special character because throughout the years of watching Kamen Rider, the main star of the show is usually the one who is starting school, like a Sogo to the kid from Forze. Who else started from school? Just to name a few, because I can't name it off the top of my head. And then you have people like Ryuki, who pretty much are adults. He works at a newspaper. And you have people like Gaim, who is pretty much, I don't know, the quote-unquote leader of a dance group. So it's a lot of things to notice. And in this case, however, Ace was already OP. Reason being is because due to his reincarnations. At first, I didn't like Ace at all. Reason being is because I thought of him being too arrogant. He is, he's different. I find it to be arrogant, like I said, and it's just unlikable. And what really hit the nail was what he did to Keiwa. At the second episode, he told Keiwa that, hey, if I were to die, then what's gonna happen to the kids? So he pulled the kids card, and due to that, Keiwa felt sympathy and figured, okay, I need to help this guy, and he gave his booster buckle to him. And at the end of the fight, he said, well, thank you. You're such gullible. You're a gullible fool. I knew that by saying that, hey, I'm helping the kids, that you will automatically give me what I needed, which is the booster buckle. And that was it. And then what really got to me was when Ace used Keiwa as bait in order for him to unlock the ninja buckle. And I could never forget that reaction Keiwa gave to Ace right after. Because right after unlocking the ninja buckle, they returned to the Temple of Desire. Keiwa was still on the ground, and he couldn't believe that Ace, who he deemed as a friend, used him. And he and Ace looked at him, stared at him like, "Don't worry, I'm gonna be the one to be saving the world." And Keiwa just still with that shocked look on his face. And at that moment, I actually thought that Keiwa would just have enough energy to just stand up and try to deliver a punch. Whether it connected or Ace dodged out of the way or caught the punch, it wouldn't matter. It's just as long as like he delivered a punch, because I mean that's just not right. Keiwa was almost getting killed, but Ace used him. And once I get into Keiwa, I will further explain why, I wish he turned evil much sooner rather than what Yuya did at the very end. So I will give my opinions on Keiwa later on that. His story, his origin story, was changing as not say changing, but adding on as the story progressed. In the beginning, I thought Ace was a Roman due to his Roman coin, and then it's later to be discovered that Ace has the ability to reincarnate, like he had the Avatar effect, meaning that when he dies, his memories continued to go into his new body. Like he remembers his past lives. That's what I deem to call it the Avatar effect, without the powers. And it was due to a wish in his previous reincarnations. And then the story continued, and supposedly I thought that he was another Anakin Skywalker, where apparently Ace's mom just mysteriously was pregnant. She never met, like, there was no father, and just like Anakin, he was created according to Star Wars lore by the Force or Darth Plagueis, whatever you choose to believe. And whammo, Anakin was born. The same thing happened with Ace. But then, and it makes sense too, because Ace was considered to be OP with his reincarnations. He is smarter. He was like always have like two. He always thinks 2 steps ahead of his opponent, and he's always prepared. And how, you may ask? Well, remember, Guillory was trying to get rid of him, and he tried and tried until he came out of the shadows, and he ended up changing the rules to the point where he himself eliminated Ace. And then he had no memories. He continued on with his celebrity lifestyle, and then all of a sudden it was revealed that apparently Ace knew that this was going to happen, so he ended up writing a note to himself on what to do to get his memories back. And whammo, that's how smart Ace is. So I assume he was an Anakin Skywalker until much further down in the storyline. Apparently, according to Win, Ace indeed had a father. And Ace's father fell in love with the mom, and henceforth popped out Ace. However, according to Win, the DGP didn't like that, and they did away with Ace's father. How did he disappear? It still remains a mystery. Did he get killed off? Did he get Thanos? We don't know. And unfortunately, this is one of the misses that I want to add, is that Ace's sole mission was to find and rescue his mom, but he never ever mentions his father. Why is that? Why is that? I don't know why Yuya didn't include the father, or just at least mentions him about what actually happened to Ace's father. But as of right now, it's all about the mom. Me personally, I would have preferred to get some information about Ace's father, about what happened to him, and then be like, oh, okay, I get it. Because to me, why discard the father when Win told everybody, yeah, Ace had a father, but no one knows what happened to him. And then further down the story, when Ace did the He-Man thing, and twice, mind you, by unlocking both the Mark II and then the Mark III, which briefly made it its one and only debut. And then leading up to the reunion of the mom and son, which, in my opinion, it dropped like a ball. I didn't feel anything because, like I said in one of my writer piece theater videos, is that during that scene, I felt that the actor who played Ace just gave it his all, and the actress who played Ace's mother did not, because if you were to watch that scene over again, it looked like the actress was slightly moving her mouth but not saying anything. It sounded like a voiceover was talking, so the voiceover did all the talking while the actress mimicked, and it just completely just took away from this what was meant to be a powerful, sad reunion. Another thing that I felt that they dropped the ball was the scene where Jean discovers the truth about Ace's reincarnations, as to why he is OP. It's when Ace wakes up all tired, and for some reason he needs to go to this warehouse, and you see Jean all excited, like, hey, I know who you are. I know why you're this and that. And you hear the music playing in the background too, and it's just the music did not fit the situation. Ace looks like he was half asleep, like he didn't even give a shocking response. He just gave this passive look on his face, while Jean is all happy and explaining himself of how he knew and how he got the answer, blah 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 blah. It just felt flat, very flat. Yeah, and ultimately, towards the end, I was shocked that Yuya decided to turn Ace into Writer Jesus, because in the beginning, as the show was starting out, and I think right in the middle-ish, I was giving what I thought could be a great ending for Geats. And it was, okay, he successfully rescue his mom. He defeats the DGP. However, he gets rid of the old regime. He's going to be the one in charge, whether it be as a producer or a game master or hell, maybe both. Still keep Tsumuri around as the navigator and continue, the DGP. Only this time it will be used as, okay, you're a common writer now in charge of defending the peace for in charge of defending the peace. There's no games involved, there's no wishes involved. You're just handpicked because Ace believes that you can be a perfect common writer to help him and protect the world. That's what I thought. He will still continue his celebrity lifestyle and live happily with his mom, and also continue, being friends with Keiwa, Neon, and Michinaga. Have that happy life. But at the end, Ace chose to be he chose to be a martyr. He chose to sacrifice himself for the greater good in order for his world to finally come true. Because remember, Ace got shot by Tsumuri, and according to him, he prepared for this moment in order to become a god, according to him. He doesn't have a physical body anymore. However, he can still manifest himself. I believe he took the Jack route from Supernatural, where after Jack absorbed God's powers, he made the decision of taking a step back. He's not going to get involved in human affairs, unlike what Chuck did. And he's going to just take a step back and let humans live out their lives without God interfering. And that's the route I believe Ace took. Even though he's an all-powerful fox god, in the end, he did still lost his mom. He may not be able to hang out with his friends if he wanted to. Maybe he still can, I don't know. But he right now decided to just take a step back and not get involved and just watch his world, and if the need arises, then he will come in and deal with the threat. But otherwise, he's just overlooking the earth and just living in peace. And mind you, the ending of Kamen Rider Geats was indeed bittersweet, with Keiwa, Neon, and Michinaga, Daichi, Win, and the others are living out their lives, while Ace is, no longer a part of the world necessarily. Because remember what Tsumuri said, a world without Ace, even though Ace is still around, which is kind of sad when you think about it. Now, I mentioned this too in one of my videos, that I would have preferred option number 3, where Ace pulled a one last trick on Zurel. Tsumuri was indeed involved of this master plan Ace concocted at the cottage, and just made Zurel and the others think that he died, but it was all a trick to lay down his guard and still be a god, but still have a physical presence, still live the celebrity lifestyle, still keep the DGP around, and that would be it. But instead, you yet decided to turn Ace into Jesus. And I already explained in one of my videos how Ace and Jesus are eerily similar to the way how they portray themselves, because both of them want their followers to believe in them, and the way that they died, Ace with Tsumuri, and of course Jesus was betrayed by Judas and then led to the crucifixion due to the Romans. They were brought back to life, but as a spirit. It's eerily the same thing. I didn't like it, and mind you, again, it's not because I'm not religious, but still, I didn't like that route in my personal opinion. But now it's official. We have fruit Jesus, and now we have fox Jesus. So yeah. As a whole, I believe that Ace had enough character growth from the pompous, arrogant, oh, I'm gonna save the world, crap, to someone who ultimately paid the ultimate price in order to keep a promise to his late mother. He gave the gift of happiness because the DGP were using people's happiness to fuel people's wishes, you know. In terms of I also mentioned this too, considering how Ace is super smart, I would have wanted someone to really go head to head with Ace, because I always deem Ace to be the Zhuge Liang of this story, and the only person that's missing is a Sima Yi, and we didn't have that. Unfortunately, we didn't have that at all. Which what makes it so, like, it's one of those hidden misses too. Like, why didn't Yuya create a character that could easily go head to head with Ace in terms of strategy and intelligence? We didn't have that. Because Ace is always 2-3 steps ahead. Ace desperately tries to make friends with Michinaga, especially because I find it hilarious, because Ace really sees Michinaga as a close personal friend, aside from being his close rival. Because there were funny moments between those two, with Ace writing his autograph on his white shirt, to Ace drawing that punch jack drawing on that weird looking artboard. Seeing them eat together, and becoming the two-man power trip for a brief moment. You can tell that Ace really likes Michinaga, and Michinaga tries to push him away, like, I don't like you, for various reasons, which I will continue further once I hit Michinaga, which is not too far off. So what I think about Ace, like I said, he is a unique, special character. He is OP due to the reasons why, due to his reincarnations, him winning, like 6-7 DGPs in order to infiltrate the DGP, and discovering what happened to his mother. He is very special, and whether I like him or hate him, do I consider him, if I were to pick him in part of my team, he is a wild card, even though at the end of the day I feel like he will help my team, my rider team, but he can be a wild card. But at the end of the day, I believe he will help my team succeed. So yeah, it's a love-hate relationship I have with Ace, but you know what? I do enjoy his story, even though, like I mentioned before, like, there was no mention of Ace's father. The whole reunion that fell flat, and the revelation fell flat. He does, like, even though he appears to be arrogant, selfish, he will do anything for his friends. It's been proven that in the show. And yeah, I mean, I think that is it for Ace. And like I mentioned earlier, if you guys have anything to add to Ace or any other character, please feel free to write in the comments below, you know. Yeah, so that's the end of Ace. I will move on to Michinaga. Michinaga, oh my god. He went from hating Ace with a passion to becoming the anti-hero of his story to towards the end where he is trying to make amends, especially when he accidentally killed Sara, and he did everything to not only bring back Keiwa from darkness, but he also tried his best to discover what happened to Sara, and even went to great lengths into talking to Daiji, someone at the time who really like he was like, can you trust Daichi? Considering how much of a snake he was, like he pretty much had this evolution. Um, of course, like I mentioned earlier with Ace, Michinaga hates Ace at that time with a passion due to him thinking that he was responsible for the death of Toru, and it was further explained that Ace wasn't responsible. I mean, he was there, but he didn't kill Toru like amongst like he wasn't involved with the other riders in the attempt of killing Toru off. He was fighting the Jamotos, but Michinaga, in his own eyes, deemed Ace to be guilty. And when he was able to participate in the DGP, God only knows how long has he been playing with Ace. Like he's been holding grudges. He's been trying long and hard to find a way to defeat Ace and become the next God of Desire, which through the JGP he managed to do so. But ultimately, you know, he's been trying and trying, which kind of fused his anger, his desire to actually beat him. Um, what's also that changed was his hair, because if you remember his hair from episode 1 and moving on to the JGP, how long it is, and then towards the end, like he grew out his hair within a year. He went from like he went from someone who really did not trust anybody to the end where he pretty much gets along with everybody. Like look at him at the last episode. He is happy. He likes to be around people. He likes eating meat. I'm sure he hangs out with Neon and Keiwa every now and again after work. I don't know, but he is happy. Like he now, I think, trusts in people, unlike episode 1 Michinaga, where he just doesn't like anybody. He does not trust anybody due to what happened with Toru. His obsession over the zombie buckle. My god, like he doesn't want anybody using that buckle. And when someone does use it, he is desperately trying to make a trade. Like, look, give me back the zombie buckle, and I will give you this, and I'll give you that. You know, he desperately wants that zombie buckle. Reason being is because he said so in one of the episodes where he feels incomplete without it. He feels that zombie buckle like called out to him that it belongs to him and to him alone. And when he was brought back, and at that time he used the Jamoto buckle, and when he saw Sae, Kamen Rider Lobo, using his buckle, mind you, it belongs to the DGP, let's be fair here. He went all crazy. He tries to go after her and demanding that buckle back, which he ultimately stole. And then he became whole again. Even though he does, use the Jamoto buckle alongside it. Um, and then the JGP happened. He became the anti-hero. People viewed Michinaga at that time as the bad guy, but at the end he was mostly an anti-hero. He didn't want to get involved with Azu 2.0 and Daichi because he even said that he openly wants to use them for his own ends, to become the champion, to finally defeat Ace after how many DGPs ago, which he did, because mind you, unfortunately, I have to say this, he will never defeat Ace on a one-on-one fight or in a round. After how many games? There's no way. And he have to go through tough strategy and distraction because, mind you, how he defeated Ace is because Ace was too busy dealing with Neoram. They were fighting against each other because now Ace knows the truth about what happened to his mother, and he was going after Neoram and demanded that, hey, you need to release my mother, and also I am done playing your games now because of what you have done to my mother. So they were fighting against each other. And remember, after Michinaga did away with Keiwa during the Heaven and Hell game, he used his final attack to drag both riders down to the depths of hell, hence their deaths. And Michinaga finally defeated his rival, and he became the next god of desire because, remember, Azu 2.0 had one of the division drivers, and the main goal now, then, was to get the other one, which ultimately they did. He made a wish to be the number one best Kamen Rider on Earth, and towards that end, he was hunting down Kamen Riders, destroying their ID cores, and that was it, because he was considered to be unstoppable. No Kamen Rider was able to defeat him until there was a weakness. Yes, he is strong against Kamen Riders, but against Jamoto and other beings, not so much. Not so much at all. And one of the scenes was funny when Ace, shot Michinaga, and it reflected back, not at him, but it was reflected, and the shot hit the monster instead. And Michinaga was like, "Hey, why did you shoot me? Hey," but Ace responded with, "Aren't you invincible?" And she shoots him again. I find that really funny. There was moments in Michinaga's arc that, yes, he's in it for himself, and there was a moment with Mary, mind you, that Mary was considering combining forces with Michinaga to get rid of Ace, and Ace steps in and just tells Michinaga, like, you need to rely on your own strength, not get help from this creep who is pretty much a thief. And it's just Ace made him question his integrity, and ultimately Michinaga pretty much like, I'm not gonna tag team with you. I'm gonna defeat Ace on my own without anybody's help. And that was it. And again, Michinaga is very difficult to be around with because he hates everybody. He doesn't want to get along with anybody. Keiwa tried to make friends with him, but Michinaga just pushes him away. Like, he doesn't want to be friends with anybody. Um, but during but after the JGP, and him just making amends, because he said that he did a lot of terrible things that ultimately led to accidentally killing Sara, that just made him like not be the anti-hero anymore, even though Ace kind of called him out. Like, the reason why you joined Aizu 2.0 is because in what was not just to get his wish, but mostly to, in his own way, prevent people from joining the DGP. I don't remember exactly, but I think in his mind he was trying to save people from the DGP, because he knew from the very beginning that the DGP are the true villains of the story, and yeah, they were the true villains of the story, and he was ultimately trying to hunt down the DGP. He wanted them to leave because he knows that every wish people get, the happiness of people's and the happiness are getting taken away just to make a wish. So yeah, so he was an anti-hero, and then he ultimately became a hero, because you see him trying to make amends. He was trying to get Keiwa back because he knew that, okay, this is my mess, I have to deal with it on my own. And also try to rescue Sara, because again, it was my mess. And he came close to dying, let's just call it. He became close to dying. But luckily, Keiwa at the time let him go, and those 2 times, and ultimately he's at peace. Oh yes, I forgot to. I'm gonna add this too. During the JGP, this is one of the misses. Remember, the Jamotos were able to clone people, especially the dead. And one of them, if you remember, made a copy of Toru. And I called the clone, was it Toru 2 or Jamato Toru or Fake Toru? Yeah, Fake Toru. And the look on Michinaga's face was priceless. But Michinaga knew at the end of the day, his true friend died. This thing that he is, like, this thing there who ends up looking like Toru, eats like Toru, talks like Toru, everything Toru, he knows that he is not legit. And I remember that the Jamoto, when he was at the border of getting killed by Ace, he asked Michinaga to please help him. And Michinaga's like, no, I'm not gonna help you. You're just a stepping stone to what I want. I used you. And he just walks away, and the look on his face, on Fake Toru's face, was like, oh man, you can tell that it broke him. And ultimately Ace killed him. And I wish Yuya would have taken a different path. I wish that, yes, Michinaga knows that the real Toru is dead, but I would have preferred that Michinaga would have accepted a fake Toru and show some affection. Just like the real Toru, it's gonna be like old times, he is happy. But then he gets killed by Ace, and that will cause Michinaga to really fuel his anger and his desire to defeat Ace. you know, the sheer idea of losing Toru again by the same person would really be like, oh, that cool moment, but it didn't happen. Also, another miss was the whole half Jamoto thing. Like, I would have preferred to see Michinaga transform into a full-blown Jamoto, but it didn't happen. And I thought, with Michinaga losing Toru again, will fuel the transformation even further. But again, it didn't happen. I don't know. Yuya's idea was to keep him as half Toru. I mean, um, half Jamoto, up to to this new world order of his. I just felt like it's another miss. I don't remember exactly how he got resurrected after he got killed off. I think it was due to the power of the zombie that he was able to be brought back. Um, what else did I want to add before I move on? Um, yeah, Michinaga did have enough character growth, because if you were to watch episode 1 and the finale back to back, they're two different people. One, he's very angry, hates the world, doesn't like to work with others, has a strong desire to defeat Ace, while the other, he is at peace with himself, he's eating lots of meat, he is talking with his co-workers, something that the old Michinaga would never do, I think. And yeah, I have a question for you guys before I move on. Like, do you still consider Michinaga as a secondary writer, or you consider him, after everything that he went through his character arc, that he is a third writer? Because during the story, to me it felt like it was a fight between Keiwa and Michinaga in terms of who is the secondary writer. And I was just wondering, like, do you still consider Michinaga, Kamen Rider Bufa, as a secondary writer, or do you see Keiwa, Kamen Rider Tycoon, to be the official secondary writer? What do you guys think? I want to get your opinions on that. Anything else that I want to mention about Michinaga that hopefully I want to add before I move on? But again, if I miss any more details on any character, please, again, feel free to add it in the comments below. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, the tag team with him and Ace being the two-man power trip was great. The sheer, I remember this too. This one scene where his team was assigned to remodel or build a home, and lo and behold, the owner of the house was none other than Ace. And Michinaga's look on his face was priceless. Was like, wait a minute, you're the owner of this house? And Ace was like, yeah, you're gonna be remodeling my house. I'm like, and Michinaga was like, oh, no. The sheer idea of Ace, his rival, the person that he despised, the person that he despised throughout, within his heart, whatever, he's gonna be his boss. And the sheer idea, just micromanaging him, and it's just bad, man. It was so bad. And like Michinaga, like, maybe some part of him, and especially towards, in the later ladder of Geats, like, he wants to be Geats, Ace's friend, but he doesn't want to admit that he wants to be his friend. And again, with Ace, he doesn't need to try so hard because you can tell Ace wants to be his friend. But Michinaga tries to push him away, but he keeps coming back. And it's hilarious with, the autograph signing on the shirt to Ace being, the boss, you know, Michinaga trying to remodel his house. It was so hilarious. And there was moments where Michinaga came really close into beating Ace. But again, Ace is always have something up his sleeve. And you could only feel for Michinaga because I'm sure there were moments where he was super close into beating the Fox, but he gets out Fox in the very end. But the whole redemption arc, you can tell that he is hurting in his own way. Um, he felt responsible for Keiwa's turn, and he tries everything to save Sara, which he ultimately does. And at the end, when he says, "I'm gonna believe in Ace," you know that he already sees Ace in a different light, even though towards the end was like, dude, like, don't make lies, or this is no time for your pranks, because at that point you can tell, like, dude, like, you can't just leave. This is no time for your fox tricks. And Ace was like, I'm a fox and he does the too sweet. And I think ultimately he will miss Ace, whether he admits it or not. I do like his relationship with the love-hate relationship he has with Ace. And one thing too I want to add. I remember that Michinaga and Niram in their first encounter, I remember how Niram gave Michinaga that L, that worst beating of his life. Because, mind you, he was still weak. He was still using his cracked ID core, but he foolishly uses it. He managed to transform, but you can see from the static shocks it's unstable, but he still managed to fight. And I can never forget that L he received from Niram. It was bad. Him getting the booster for the jet, that was pretty cool. And anything that I miss? Oh yeah, him and Azu 2.0, from the moment she thought that, hey, you're here to rescue me, and he was like, no, I came for the vision driver. I'm not here to rescue you. I'm rescuing the driver. No. To the ultimate fight between those two, I have to say, that was good. And I'm sure it was very hard for the suit actor to really react to something that it is CGI, but it told a good story nonetheless. Michinaga used that one bit of strength from his a casino form, from his badass Kamen Rider form, and just giving Azu 2.0 the last laugh, because I remember when he was defeated by Kermit the Frog and Azu 2.0, Azu 2.0 was like, oh, just stay down, blah 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 blah, and then he came back. He got his revenge as the tables were turned when Neon defeated Azu 2.0. She was like gingerly walking. You see her bleeding, and Michinaga's like, "Oh, how sad and pathetic you look. I hope you eat your despair." And Azu 2.0 went all crazy. You would think that Ace and Michinaga have a difficult relationship. The relationship between Azu 2.0 and Michinaga is another level. Is at another level. But at the end of the day, Azu 2.0 still views Michinaga as her fave at the end of the day. Yeah, so again, if I miss anything or you want to add something to Michinaga, please feel free to write on the comments below. So yeah, and I believe that is it. Let's move on to Neon. Neon, she has to be one of my favorites in this show, next to Keiwa. I mean, some of the characters I do enjoy, but none other than Neon and Keiwa. The reason that I enjoy Neon so much is because, I mean, she has, in my opinion, the most growth amongst all of the characters. I believe she has grown a lot. She's been through a lot. And it's just, she's a little bit relatable, for me in terms of trying to find love. So Neon, she has one of the best introductions. She, if I remember correctly, she was in the middle of her live stream and she was trying to escape from home, if you remember. And all of a sudden you see these two people in suits and sunglasses, mind you. That's why I dubbed them the Men in Black. And then you see them just take her bags and takes her with them, and you see her on the phone, still doing her live streams. And mind you, her shows were famous. Like every one of her fans are enjoying her attempts to escape home, and she always gets caught. And I find it strange. I'm like, Neon, like, I mean, you have this live stream that pretty much exposes where you are, and now we know that you're rich, and your parents hired these security guards to hunt you down. Like, don't you think it's only a matter of time that they will find you? But that's the funny charm thing. And every time she gets caught, she always tells her fans, oopsies, they caught me. That means I'm going back home. But don't you worry, my fans. I will try to escape once more. Hopefully, I don't get caught the next time, And of course, she gets involved in this whole DGP mess. She meets Keiwa, Michinaga, and Ace for the first time. And this is where Neon really gets involved in the DGP mess. And we get to know that she is rich. Her parents pretty much... you get this vibe that they don't care about her all that much. But let me rephrase that. Her mother has to be the most overprotective parent in all of Kamen Rider. Because she's overprotective. She doesn't want her daughter to leave the house. And like Neon said, you view me as a doll, like one of these dolls you collect. And if you had it your way, you would keep me inside this box. I'm not a bird in this cage. I need to be free. But unfortunately, Mother Neon doesn't see it that way, because she wants to protect her 24/7. And even if she wants to leave, I'm sure she will be protected by these Men in Black. So, but she's not really completely free. And then when you go on to the father, um, you think that he does not care about her, and he views Neon to be like as a tool to elevate his company, and he wants to marry her off to someone that's whose company is greater, that sort of thing, like arranged marriage, between the rich people. Um, so that's why you understand why she is asking for true love, because she doesn't get it from her family. And you see her transform into Nago. And of course, just like Keiwa, they don't know how to fight, but eventually they will get the hang of the fighting. I have to say, like, her relationship between the boys are, they're good, but I can't help but to think that her relationships are better with the girls, because you see her with Sae, especially how she clicks with her, and then Sara. They're like, they have this sisterhood, that sort of thing. Um, so she gets involved with the DGP. Obviously, she doesn't win the first time or the last time. I think Neon was the only person that never got her wish fulfilled, because you have Ace multiple times. Keiwa, even though it blew up in his face, but he still got his wish in the end. And then you had Michinaga, whether it be JGP thing, he still managed to get his wish. And so we move to the Death Star arc. This is where things get very tough for her, because I'm sure behind the scenes, Chirami pretty much pulled her aside and told her, yeah, you're gonna be the Death Star, and you gotta do what I say. If not, you'll be eliminated from the tournament. And Neon, of course, she was devastated to hear that she got picked, and she has to lie in order to win. Because if you remember the rules, if, let's say, Ace is the last rider standing next to Neon, and if he hasn't if those two were the last rider standing, Neon would automatically win, because she is the Death Star. No one has eliminated her from, the judging, that sort of thing. Then she will automatically win. So Neon was in the top spot. Of course, you have people like Sae that pretty much, protected her, and even said to everybody, look, I am the Death Star, not her. You could eliminate me. And then her last scene between her and Sae, that was pretty a nice, cool scene. Her reasons why she did what she did, and at the end, she was rooting for Neon to succeed, And then, the restaurant scene, with painted Keiwa and Ace being on that table, and then the next table you see Kiru in the back, which he didn't formally introduce himself until later, but you see Neon trying her best to pretty much, throw discord and mistrust amongst the two boys, Keiwa and Ace, because she is trying her best to be like, hey, Ace is the Death Star here, because remember, he likes to trick people. He's the fox. How did you know that he's not lying to us right now? And of course Ace is not the Death Star. We all know that. And Ace was like, well, I'm telling you the truth. I'm not the Death Star here. And, how do we know that you're not the Death Star? Because I'm telling you the truth. And Neon just responded with, well, that's something the Death Star would say. And poor Keiwa is still with the painted face. It's like, I'm in the middle of this crap. I don't know who to believe. And then we get the introduction of Kiryu and Neon, and that, Kiryu being the most direct. I have to admit, though, he was a douche, and Neon was like, yeah, you're a douche. I mean, get away from me. You claim that you're my fan, but you're acting like this. I'm like, nah, screw you. And then, Neon gets into Kiryu's room. As we all know, he's not even there. He's just talking through his iPad and blah, 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 blah. So when the Death Star arc came closer to a close, I can never forget that one scene where Neon was desperately trying to convince Keiwa that Ace is the Death Star, and I think I remember it was the last three, because Daichi was eliminated first and then Saya was eliminated second, so it was up to those three again. And Neon was like, remember Keiwa, remember he tricked you more than 3 times, and he almost, due to, he used you as a target to unlock that ninja buckle. Remember that? When you were on the floor and you were staring at him all like in disbelief. Remember that? Do you remember that? And Keiwa was like, yeah, I remember. But ultimately, Keiwa, turned the finger on Neon for being the Death Star. But if you remember before that, how desperate Neon was, she threw herself at harm's way. I don't remember. I think it was a Jimoto was trying to shoot it's trying to shoot Ace, but all of a sudden Neon decides to take the shot and then yells out to Keiwa, hey, Ace shot me. He is the Death Star here. And Ace was like, okay, I know what you're trying to do. And I don't know, that scene was so stupid in my opinion. It's just poor planning on her part. I can never forget that. It was so poorly planned, but ultimately Keiwa, said like, yeah, Neon, you're the Death Star. But luckily, due to the whole, JGP mess, it all came to a crashing end, so she got saved. Now, I know I went ahead, but I want to mention this before I move forward. During the whole Gildery arc, do you remember Kamen Rider Danpan, who I dubbed Monokuma? And as we know, Neon is a rich girl who we all assume that she has everything in life and she's happy, and we all know that her wish, she wants to try to find true love for herself. Then you have someone like Monokuma who is already making her an enemy of his, all because she's got everything. And he tried to get her eliminated. And of course, I will discuss further once I encounter him in my villains video. I don't want to say too much here, but all I can say is that you kind of missed your mark on him, Yuya. That's all I'm gonna say. But, Monokuma's reasoning to go after her, like I mentioned, he sees her as, oh, you got everything. I don't have everything. I'm miserable. So I'm gonna kill you to make myself feel better. That was it. But ultimately, he got eliminated, and we never see him again until the very end. Which, again, I have lots of things to discuss once I do his thing on the villain side. So don't you worry, guys. It's coming. It is coming. So moving forward to the JGP arc and the Mistress of Games herself. For some reason, she got a hold of this secret that Neon's family was trying to protect. And it was revealed in the most dirtiest, hideous way. And the Mistress of Games herself decided to unleash their dirty laundry out into the world just to see her in despair. Which again, once I hit the Mistress of Games, I'll be discussing more about her in the villains video. I don't want to say too much. So just like Monokuma, the Mistress of Games decides to target her. And briefly, I'm going to say, the origin story just a little bit. That apparently Neon is not the legit daughter. Apparently, Neon's parents did have a daughter. Unfortunately, she got killed during the kidnapping. Now we understand why Mother Neon's being overly protected because of that event that took away her first daughter. And then we get to see Papa Neon desperately asking Niram's help that, hey, can you wish back my daughter? Obviously, the goddess of creation does have limits. I don't think that you can resurrect the dead, but then again, Keiwa's wish to bring back the dead did work. So I don't understand why, Papa Neon did not wish for his first daughter to come back instead of, okay, can I wish for a new daughter? This is a year's worth, so I could be wrong here. So of course in return, Niram wants his company to be the next sponsors for the DGP. That's the price, and ultimately he did pay. He became a sponsor for the DGP, and therefore the goddess of creation created Neon. Now everybody knows, thanks to the Mistress of Games, everybody, including her, was very shocked, and she was destroyed. And she went to confront her parents, only she met with her mom and asking her, is this true? Am I a product of a wish? I'm not your true daughter? And of course, Mother Neon was shocked. And the last time I checked, I think Papa Neon erased his wife's memory of their first daughter, and that's where I think Neon used her ID core, made her touch it, and then her memories came back. And that's when, it was confirmed that everything what Bebola said was legitimately true. And I can't help that scene, the two-parter scene involving her, was so good. It was heart-wrenching. The actress did a wonderful job. You could see the pain that just was brought upon her. You see her like taking her bags and just trying to leave the mansion, and her mom was like desperately trying to stop her, like, please don't go. I'm sorry that I kept this a secret from you, but you gotta understand, I did it for you. All It's just, you gotta understand. And of course, Neon doesn't want to hear it. She leaves, and then you see that scene where she is crying. She's walking the streets of Tokyo in the middle of the night alone, and she is destroyed. And of course, at the very end, she completes the games with Kiru, and she ultimately said to the boys, like, look, I'm not myself right now. I'm not coming back. I just need some time alone. It's understandable after, revealing the dirty laundry to everybody. But then when we hit the final part of the JGP arc, Neon was never to be found. I don't remember exactly how many episodes she was gone, but she was gone for a while until she was brought back on screen. But during the Heaven and Hell match, when Michinaga eliminated Keiwa, he met up with Ace, telling him, hey, you're the last rider standing. Once I beat you, I finally win. And I'm like, where's Neon? Because the last time I checked, she's still in the match. She's still in the game. So I haven't heard anything of her being eliminated, her memory being wiped at all. Like, did Michinaga eliminated Neon off screen? Yeah, I know. It's just one of those things you're like, wait a minute. Neon is still in this, so why isn't she doing anything? We didn't see her get eliminated by Michinaga, so yeah, that's just something I want to add. And then, we have the stupid Desire Royale, which it was lame, but I kind of get it because the Desire Royale was nothing more than a farce just for Zurel to perform the grand exit, as I like to call it. However, when Zurel declared the game, this is where Neon just decided she's still she's still at rock bottom mode, and instead of wishing for true love, she wants to live in a world where she's not in it anymore. She wants to end her existence. And of course, Kiru was like, you can't wish that, because obviously Kiru does like her, and he is trying his best to convince her not to do this, but ultimately Neon was very stubborn. She's gonna go through with it. And then once Sara came into the picture, and of course Keiwa came back and does his pathetic ninja thing just to with Sara, which I'm gonna discuss later. And this is where Neon, I'm not sure if, I think she revealed it herself that her wish was to not exist anymore. And of course, Sara and Keiwa had the right expression, like, you're wishing for that? Like, what about your friends? What about us? Do you care about us? I mean, why do you wish for your own existence to end? And this is where Sara steps in and says, hey, I'm not gonna allow you to wish for your existence to end. If I win this game, I'm gonna wish for your happiness. I remember point blank those three, and she is declaring like, hey, I know what my wish is. My wish is for you to be happy. I'm here to stop you from ending yourself. I believe if Sara wasn't in the picture, it would have been a different story. Um, and so yeah, and that's where Neon kind of just took a step back and say, yeah, I think I do have people who love me, even though my parents don't love me. Uh, and then eventually later, during, towards the tail end of the season, with Neon getting kidnapped, which history starts to repeat itself. Um, it's where after her father rescues her and they have this talk in the hospital as a family, that finally, she gets the love that she always wanted. You know, not true love as a boyfriend, but more of a love of a family. And, I can't help to remember that scene at the hospital where Papa Dion was, even after he rescued her daughter, his daughter, um, and he landed himself in the hospital, and ultimately the parents have a talking to, and then Neon came in and just have a normal family conversation where ultimately, you know, they healed, and finally Neon got the love that she always wanted, the love of her family. And to me, that was a beautiful scene, a beautiful thing. And then you see her with her mom just doing some shopping, and uh, and Neon takes her father's place, and so Neon takes her father's place, and she does her thing, and then of course Monokuma steps in and tries to ruin everything as usual, but ultimately she ends up being the winner. And then she is trying to protect the world now, to protect the world's happiness with Ace, and then at the final couple of episodes with the whole Zarel and the VIPs, you see both her and her dad, trying to convince the VIPs to leave, and you see them to get working together, and I thought it was cool. And then her ending, she is living happily. Oh, and I forgot to mention too. So after, I think during the tail end of the season, I remember Neon was trying to live her life on her own. She doesn't go back. She doesn't want to go back to the mansion, if I remember correctly. And Sara was the one who volunteered, like, hey, I can help you find a house. I can help you find furniture, give you a TV. I will help you with everything. And, and I thought it was cool of her to help Neon to find a house and just find her footing in this world on her own. So I thought it was very cool. I mean, because like I said, like, Neon can form friendships, especially amongst the girls. Like she clicked with Sae, she definitely clicked with Sara. They have their own sisterhood. And once I get into Sae, like, it's one of those things where Yuya seriously missed the mark with her. Like, why did you eliminate her so early? Why didn't you bring her back? Because I believe she had potential, but I'm gonna save it once I hit Sae. So we go to the end. I still don't understand how Q managed to return from the future, unless Ace brought him over along with Jean. Yeah, she has love, from her family, and now she has a boyfriend in Kiru, and Kiru is helping her with her live streams. And I thought it was cool, she has a great happy ending. And I love Neon. I really do. She's one of my favorites. And this is one of these female characters I believe done right. There are other female characters that done right themselves. I'm not discounting them whatsoever. But for me, Neon's character, I believe it was well written. It definitely had its ups and downs. Even though she was a rich girl, she and felt like people who sees her and knows her has everything. She didn't really have everything. Like, she may have the money, she may have the mansions, but she may have the men in black. But ultimately, she had nothing. She didn't have any love. That's why she was desperately trying to wish for love, until ultimately, in the very end, she gains the love of her family, and eventually the love of a boyfriend. And that, to me, a definite character growth. She's one of my faves, and I wish the actress luck. She's a great actress, and that's all I have to say about Neon. It's just, what else can I say? But yeah, that's Neon for you. I'm gonna miss her. Really gonna miss her. So let's move on with Keiwa. Keiwa is another one of my faves. He is also relatable to me. I'm sure after the beginning of the arc, a lot of people were falling in love with him. He was the typical kid who is trying to find his way into this big bad world. He was constantly searching for work, and there were times that he was more, scratching lotto tickets than finding a job. Because I remember countless times when he got eliminated the first time, he didn't have his memories anymore, and you see him, not his happy, cheery self. You see him just scratching lotto tickets in the hopes of getting rich, and I don't remember. Yeah, that was the only thing he was doing, because I don't remember him getting drunk or anything like that. But he was just like scratching lotto tickets in the hopes he can get himself rich, but it didn't work. Um, and then the DGP happened, and then he meets the usual gang, and then he got chosen, and things get really, not dark, but things get very serious the moment where the man who was supposed to be the boss, I remember his first debut. He was wearing a suit, he was in an interview, and he was interviewing in front of the boss, who eventually becomes the writer in the second episode, and then he dies in front of him. And then he got tricked by Ace, because I am wishing for the children. Please, I cannot die here. I need that booster buckle. And of course, Keiwa, in his good nature, decides to believe him, just throws the booster buckle, and the rest is history. And then we have what I deem to call the Keiwa Chronicles. Like, in every single episode, until he stopped doing the Chronicles, he made us feel that, hey, like, he's in this weird place. I'm not sure I'm gonna make it out of this alive. It's just like the actor who plays Keiwa just has it to the T. because when you see him record himself and just briefly does a recap, and then he's just like, I'm not sure I'm gonna make it out of this, but I want to send this to you in hopes of okay, this is where I'm at. If I don't come back, now you know why, because those videos are specifically for his older sister Sara. And of course Tsumuri was like, you cannot record, the DGP things, like you're not allowed to record. And Kei was like, look, I'm just recording just for my sister, because I don't know if I'm gonna make it out of this alive, since there are monsters killing writers, and if I get eliminated, I'll be gone too. I just want something for my sister in case I do die. And then Tsumuri just, okay, fine, but don't record anything that will reveal DGP secrets. That was it, And of course, Keiwa was, being naive. He's far too nice for his own good. He had his moments, and, let's see. Yeah, he was the comic relief for the most part. But ultimately, amongst the writer fans, people love Keiwa. People do love him. And it comes to this discussion where, is Keiwa officially the secondary writer, or you still deem Michinaga being the second? Because Keiwa was really, really good in that show, and you can tell like he was trying to be the second writer. But in any case, Keiwa was trying to survive, and then of course I can never forget that scene where Ace used him to unlock the ninja buckle, and that look on his face where he realized that who he deems as a friend used him. And again, like I said in the Ace part, I wish he had enough energy to just stand up and just deliver that punch. Whether he connected or not, it's irrelevant, but at least it would have gave Keiwa this, like, hey, you used me, you bastard. I thought you were my friend. But he didn't do anything. Or just do the middle finger, but obviously Keiwa, it will go against Keiwa's character. And then we moved to the Death Star, which, he was the comic relief. This is where we later discover the true secret of the DGP, that, it's a reality show. There are people watching the show from the future, So the DGP is a reality show. Yay! And then, Keiwa gets to meet his sponsor. And this is where Yuya dropped the ball. Because before, the sponsors and, the reality show reveal, we all assume, including myself, that being Kamen Rider Tycoon has this lucky ability. Because if you remember, Keiwa always ends up getting the booster every single time. And even Ace noticed this trend that Keiwa always ends up getting the booster buckle. And I assume that being Tycoon gives you this lucky ability that you will get the booster. But then when Kermit the Frog introduced himself and he told Keiwa that he was the reason why he was constantly getting the booster buckle, to me it dropped the ball. It just killed the it just kills that unique ability that being tycoon is. Like, oh, I have, by a luck of a lottery, luck of a draw, I am Kamen Rider Tycoon, and then when I'm fighting, a mysterious box appears, and lo and behold, it's a booster puzzle, and it happens every single time I go into battle. It has this unique ability that if you're a Tycoon, you will get the booster buckle. Nope. No, it was me, Keiwa. It was me all along. Your sponsor, the one that chose you to be the Kamen Rider. I'm like, no, Yuya, why? Yuya, you seriously dropped the ball on that one. I wish it wasn't in in that scene. I wish it wasn't revealed, because by doing so, it just kills the mystique of being Kamen Rider Tycoon and the lucky factor, and like, ooh. There will be more hit and misses in Keiwa, especially his supposed evil turn. Yeah, I have lots to discuss about that. But, during the Death Star, he was the comic relief. You see the booster buckle, after it was used, it constantly hits him. He got marked on his face. What else that I think that's it. I mean, you see him using the jet buckle thing, and I thought it was cool. I really enjoyed that form. I don't think nothing much happened during the Death Star except, him being the comic relief and him picking Neon to be the Death. Oh, yes. I almost forgot. Daichi, speaking of the Death Star, I can never forget, which I almost did, when Sae and Daichi were first introduced and they were meeting each other for the first time. Obviously, Sae didn't really like him as much, especially when he was framed to be the Death Star, and then Daichi saw Keiwa to be easy prey. Just like Ace, he did use him a couple of times, and it just goes to show how trusting he is with people, and he needs to be very careful. And then you have a person like Daichi who pretty much went into the circle, deems him friendly, and I remember Keiwa was talking with him and about something, I don't remember what, and then once the writers had their meeting, Daichi kind of threw him under the bus and lying to everybody that, hey, Keiwa told me that he's the Death Star, and he was just telling lies, spreading lies that Keiwa was being the Death Star. And poor Keiwa was like, what the hell, like, I can find in you, and yet you threw me under the bus for me being a Death Star, which I'm not. And he came really close to being eliminated, but luckily Ace said no, he's not the Death Star, and it took very convincing, but ultimately in the end, Keiwa was not the Death Star and eliminated Daichi, and that was the end of it. And of course, Daichi was holding grudges of what happened, which ultimately led to Keiwa turning to the dark side, which I will soon discuss. So we had the Death Star arc, and then we moved to the JGP, which I don't remember much with Keiwa other than I remember. Ah, yes, yes. Keiwa knowing the truth about, you know, Ace's mom. And the fact that Ace's mom is actually the goddess of creation, which I forgot to mention on the Neon chapter, that Neon was told about Ace's mother by none other than Ace himself, because Ace was trusting in her, confined in her, and told her the truth about the mom, to the reason why he kept the gold coin, and that sort of thing. So once it was revealed that Ace's mother was the cause of all this chaos and destruction, the reason why the writers are fighting monsters and that sort of thing, his attitude changed. He was like, your mother needs to be brought to justice. She was the one who is causing all this pain. She was the one who, quote unquote, responsible for my parents' deaths and that sort of thing. And Ace, of course, is defending his mom, like, hey, like, my mom is held against her will. She got turned into a statue. She has no control, so please, like, she has no control. Why are you saying these things? Like, why are you acting like she was the one who is willingly doing all these things? And then I don't remember exactly what order it was, but let me see. Yes. So it's not there yet. So once Keiwa discovers the truth about Ace's mom, he's like, no, she's responsible. I will bring her to justice. But she's gonna, once I win, I will bring the people back from the dead, and then I will bring her to justice somehow. But that didn't happen because, remember, the JGP and then Michinaga came in, and, the heaven and hell thing, and you see Michinaga just throws him into this whole 300 style, and you see Keiwa just falling slowly and just says to Sara, like, I'm sorry, I failed to protect you, I failed to save these people, and he gets turned into bubbles. And that was the end of Keiwa until he was brought back. And also, he was brought back due to Kermit the Frog's deal with Azu 2.0, which later leads to, Sara getting involved, which I will say my take on Sara, since she is officially part of the good guys, of the heroes. And then once Keiwa had a little bit of a sit down, because remember, when Win returned, he was digging along with Tsumuri the origin story of Ace and how Ace came to be. And then they had this meeting outside, and this is where Win just spills the beans that, hey, Ace's mother got turned into a statue due to her unlocking her powers, because of, Ace and the father, blah, 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 blah. And just ultimately tells, Keiwa directly that Mitsume is not responsible for what's going on. Take your anger to the DGP. And then once Keiwa was like hearing this, he didn't accept the truth. He just stood up and just walks away. He didn't want to accept what Win was giving him at all. And every single time, I mentioned this on my videos that Keiwa's problem is his anger is misplaced every single time. More specifically towards Ace's mother. Of course, Ace's mother is innocent, but Keiwa doesn't see it that way. And then, you know, he was resurrected due to the deal. Sara got involved, and it's funny how Keiwa was desperately trying to avoid his sister as much as he could because, you know, I don't remember exactly what the reasons were, but it was kind of funny. And especially when he was Poncha. He was Poncha. That supposedly Sara has her own sponsor, but it was not true at all. And I remember Neon was like, "Oh, wow, you got a sponsor. That's cool." And then she approaches the statue, and then you see Keiwa behind the couch, and like Neon was like, "What the hell?" And Keiwa's like, shut up. You know, I have my reasons, so don't say that I'm here or whatever." And Neon was like, okay. All right. I can never forget that scene. I even have the picture. That was hilarious. And during those times, you see Keiwa and his lousy ninja techniques trying to hide, and like it was hilarious. But it came to the point where, yeah, my sister's getting targeted here. I have to reveal myself sooner or later because, yeah, it's impossible. And then Daichi returns, if you remember, because I think, yeah, so Daichi returns for the Battle Royale. And again, I was pissed off as to why both Neon and Keiwa not trusted their lives, but just like trusted in Daichi not to do something stupid. Because remember, you know, Keiwa was trying to hide from his older sister, and Daichi already knows that Keiwa is there. He could have revealed Keiwa, but he didn't. And so I can't help but help to remember the deal Daichi and Sara made for the cracked ID course. Because I remember one of the games were, okay, you need to collect the most writer ID cores for you to win the round, and Daichi was offering his in exchange for something. I forgot what it was, but Sara gullibly accepts and she leaves. And this is where Neon, and Keiwa were having this secret discussion. Like, Keiwa was like, "Dude, you better not tell my sister that I'm here or else." And Daichi, of course, as the snake in the grass that he is, pretty much says, "Okay, don't worry about it. I'm gonna keep your secret, you know, even though you can tell that you can't trust him." One of my issues with Kei was like, why are you telling Daichi to keep your secret knowing that he threw you under the bus the first time? Like, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm guessing he had no choice, but still, like, why are you entrusting your fate with this kid who ultimately is gonna stab you in the back once again? That's just me. And of course, you know, the villains are targeting Sara, which I will lead to, you know, the final arc and Keiwa being turned to the dark side, which it kind of felt flat. Here's why. Well, we all know the origins of Keiwa's dark side. He made his debut during the Ace and not the Ace, the Geats and Revised movie. Which, mind you, I don't watch the movies because unfortunately they don't contribute to the show itself. So the movies are just a random thing. So I watch a couple of movies in the past, but it's just what I've learned is that there was no mention of the movies in their episodes, so they don't, like, it's almost as if they're not canon at all. But it's either here or there. I'm just explaining why I don't watch Kamen Rider movies that much anymore. However, a lot of fans were like interested in Keiwa's dark half, because the last time I remember there was Kagero and he decides to pierce into the mind of Keiwa, and Kagero was shocked to see that there is two people living in his brain, one of them being Keiwa's dark side, who is all dressed in black with earrings, and he's like, I'm just a guy who wants world peace, and he disappears. And this is where, like, I was like, oh, is Yuya planting the seeds of an eventual Keiwa turn? And eventually it did happen. Like, I was wanting to have evil Keiwa and see how he's gonna do in the last couple of episodes of Geats. But ultimately, it was bad. It was very bad. It's just the timing, the execution was way off. Like, Yuya, like, why did you decide to turn him at the very end of the season? Why not in the middle? Because it would have made perfect sense to do so, because he would have been an Abare killer type. Because if you watch Abare Renja and Abare Killer, he was a villain for a good amount of time until the very end of the show, where he eventually became good. Keiwa would have done the same, but for whatever reason, Yuya had decided to, hey, let's turn in evil at this final arc. And I was like, no, that was a huge mistake, because I would have enjoyed Keiwa being evil earlier on and then have him turn back at the very end. It makes perfect sense. You can milk the character and to see him terrorize, his supposed friends. He wants revenge. Because what led up to his supposed turn, it was Michinaga and Daichi. Daichi was the one who pretty much gave the parasite to Sara, and then she got turned. Michinaga kills by accident Bajimoto, who eventually got revealed to be Sara. Unfortunately, she got infected but the type 2 parasite and not the type 1, and she disappeared. And this is where Keiwa just went to Keiwa Kaneki mode, where you see him in the next episode just be all dark and emo. He does the Kaneki finger cracking, something that Kermit wanted for him, because again, for Kermit, he has his own chapter in the villains video. I don't want to reveal all too much in this, because this is the hero side, but it was all part of Kermit the Frog's plan. The reason why he brought Sara into the picture, and it's for him to turn it to the dark side, to become the quote-unquote Batman of the story. So I have to say this too. Even though Keiwa Kaneki, was badly executed, I have to give the actor credit too, because he did a great job. So much so that you have people on social media just bullying him online. And it's just like, wow, I mean, he really done his job well, to the point where you have people on social media just bullying him. And it's just like, guys, he's just playing a character. Relax. Obviously, he's doing his job right. If you have people online reacting the way they had, even I was like, at the very end of my review, was like, go on his social media and tell him, give him good vibes, because you have people who are giving him bad vibes. I'm like, he's just doing his job. Just let him do his thing. Jeez. Leave him alone. Yeah, so the whole evil Keiwa, he wasn't evil at all. He did do some deceitful things, like kind of tricked Tsumuri into giving him, the Black General buckle, which I know it's not the official name, but yeah, so he tricked Tsumuri. He kidnapped Tsumuri and gave her over to the enemy, and he got his wish, and he turned into Keiwa Kaneki. And then I can't help but laugh. He got his wish, everybody was brought back, and then he receives a call from his sister asking him to know where he's at and try to help save her and her and mom and dad from these attacks, whatever. Next thing you know, we get back to Keiwa, and you see this explosion, and then it's revealed when he bursts into Juto's hideout, like, hey, am I being punked here? My family is still dead. and Juto was like, dude, you got your wish, you got what you wanted. It's just that you brought back the bad people as well. Not only you brought the good people back, you brought in the bad people back. So it's just like, yeah, you got what you wanted. And I can't help but further laugh when Juto put Keiwa in his place. Like, Keiwa was supposed to be a badass after he turned evil, but after, Juto throwing him down, it's just like, nah, you still wimpy old Keiwa. You're not this badass. You're not this evil character. Because why would you allow old Juto to do what he did to you? And ultimately, Juto and Azu 2.0 and Kermit the Frog were trying to manipulate him into getting into a fight with Ace. Because at that time, Ace was officially the god of creation now, after his mom passed away. And he is the only one in the way of Keiwa wanting this do-over. And then, of course, the matches between him and Michinaga, which he came really close into killing him. Especially that first time, but he was like, well, no, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna let my sister's ghost haunt you for the rest of your life. And he does that weird round kick, which I like. That was kind of weird, but okay. And then Michinaga came back to the gang riders hideout, and Michinaga is trying to bring Keiwa home, and of course he got his ass whipped again. and and then we finally get the matchup between Ace and Keiwa, which to me it was a little bit of a letdown, unlike the Juto versus Ace match, which to me really told a story, and you can tell that the suit actors were really getting into it. But here with the Keiwa and Ace fight, to me, I wanted it to be like Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Anakin Skywalker, at Mustafar. And you have Obi-Wan Kenobi fighting for what's left of the Republic, trying to avenge, the younglings that were killed at the temple, which, well, not really avenging, because getting revenge is not the Jedi way, but you know what I'm trying to say. And then you have Anakin Skywalker, who deems the Jedi as the enemy. They're the cause of all this trouble, and I'm doing this for my wife as well. That sort of thing. Because both Ace and Keiwa had something to fight for. You have Keiwa, who is trying to fight for his family's resurrection, while you have Ace, who is fighting for a better world. So they had a lot of stakes in this fight, but it didn't really show it in this fight. I don't know what you guys think about the fight. I'm curious, but to me, it didn't really told a good story, in my opinion. But ultimately, Ace just stops fighting. It was a mismatch. And Keiwa was like, why did you stop fighting? And of course Ace is like, I can't make you believe. I can't make you turn. You have to change for yourself, blah, 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 blah. And then Tsumuri, who is all in white, just comes in and says, hey, you need to believe in Ace. He will create this happy world and blah, 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 blah. And then Keiwa just sticks out his katana and just like, okay, then show me, or else I'm gonna kill you. And the rest is history there. And then we get back to normal. Oh yes, I almost forgot too. He almost killed Daichi. And if it weren't for Ace, then he would have been dead too. Because can you imagine if he managed to kill Daichi, and he's the only one to reverse the tree of knowledge, and have that Sara got stuck in. She got turned into a tree. I just like, Keiwa. Ooh, you got lucky that Ace stopped you, because if Daichi were to die, ooh, then you really lost your sister. You really lost her. But luckily, it didn't happen. And then things get back to normal. Keiwa is back to, regular goody-goody Keiwa, who wishes for world peace. And thanks to Michinaga, he managed to rescue Sara. Mind you, she was the only one rescued. The others would be damned. They're still trapped on that tree. Because here's the thing. Sara gets rescued, but the others who got trapped on the tree, there was no scene of them getting released at all. And that potion that Daichi had only had a dose for one person. What does that tell you? So after Sara gets rescued, Keiwa is back doing his thing. He got his job at the ramen place, and then he witnessed these two couples, go boom in front of his face. And then Keiwa and Daichi had this talk, and not in the sense of him literally say I forgive you, but he ultimately forgives Daichi for all he did, because during the conversation where he got kidnapped by his ex-sponsor, you know, he was talking to Daichi, why did you save my sister? And of course, Daichi had his reasons, but you can tell Daichi was wanting to change. And Kayla was like, dude, like, if you're helping people now, then that's great. I don't have any ill will towards you anymore. As long as you use your powers for good, then we're cool, And that's his way of telling Daichi that, hey, I forgive you. And of course, we have that great episode slash scene of him versus Kermit the Frog. And then towards the end, Kermit was telling Keiwa, like, the life of a Kamen Rider will have his, trials. Are you ready to deal with those trials? And Keiwa was like, yeah. That's the way of a Kamen Rider. You're the hero and you will have to face difficult decisions and, difficult things you need to face, difficult battles to fight, that sort of thing. He acknowledged it, and that's how Kermit the Frog was like, good, very good, and then he dies. And then, he was fighting against Sorel, and at the end, of the story, Keiwa, he wants to be a police officer. And like I mentioned in the last review, it makes perfect sense since he's the type of guy who still wishes for world peace. Even after, that wooden wish he wrote on, he wishes for world peace. That never changed. And to him, it made perfect sense for Keiwa to be a police officer. And mind you, he still has that ID core. He still has it. And again, it would have been so cool if Keiwa would have just say, hey sis, I'm thinking of becoming a cop, but I don't know if I want to be a regular cop on the field, or do I want to join these two organizations, Ames, or do I join the Bluebird? And of course, the Bluebird is revised, and it was not written by Yuya, but it would have been nice to see this idea that, is there a possibility that Hiromi will be Keiwa's boss? Because again, Hiromi and Keiwa are not so different, because remember, Hiromi wanted to be a hero. And then you have Keiwa, who just wants to have world peace, and it just them two working together in Bluebird. That would be a great duel to have. And then you have Ames 01, which is also is a Yuya project that he wrote. It makes perfect sense too. And the idea of Valkyrie, which, mind you, I forgot her name, but you know who I'm talking about. Valkyrie and Keiwa? What do you guys think? Of course, you might say, Dayhawk, it's great, it's cool, but Keiwa may have to leave the city in order to join one of those two groups. I get you. I understand that. But it's either here or there. It's just the idea of Keiwa being a part of Ames or the Bluebird, it's very cool. And the idea of Hiromi and Valkyrie being his boss, what do you guys think? That would be awesome. But ultimately, with Keiwa, how he changed from episode 1 to the final episode, they're two different people, because you can tell that Keiwa has been through war. You can tell. And during his time with the DGP, and during the Keiwa Chronicles, to him just wishing for his family and the other people who died during the DGP games to be brought back, you can tell that he is a very selfless person. That, like, I believe his parents raised him right, and also Sara too, being the eldest. I feel that him turning evil, he wasn't evil. I will call it like it is. I will say it like it is. Keiwa turning evil, he wasn't evil at all. Because if he were evil, then he would literally kill Michinaga. Like, Michinaga would have been dead. Daichi would have been dead. And he would have just, like, okay, my family is dead for the second time, and might as well destroy everything. I'm just gonna, due to my grief, just gonna take my revenge, and I will take my revenge upon the world. Because I thought I was doing, like, I got my wish, and it backfired, and it's just, nah, it's not. I'm gonna destroy everything. But he became emo. I'm sorry. The only, like, if you want to add this as being evil, okay. He manipulated Tsumuri and kidnapped Tsumuri, and that was it. That's the only evil thing I could say. But it was poorly executed. I wanted evil Kaneki, but unfortunately, like I said, it was poorly executed. I wish they could have done it in the middle of the season and just milk it out, and then have him turn back towards the very end. And there were seeds planted too. Like, the moment that Ace kind of did him dirty, that's when the seeds could have been planted for him turning to the dark side. Another reason for Keiwa to go after Ace. Oh, remember you tricked me? Remember you used me? Just give him reason as to why he ended up the way that he was. Of course, Michinaga pretty much and Daichi were the ones that took him over the edge. But you could also bring Ace into the picture because of you, you tricked me a dozen times. You seriously think I would forget that? But yeah, Keiwa is another one of my favorites. He's been through a lot, and it's hard for me to say goodbye as well to that character. But you know what? It is what it is, and the actor who plays him, he really did a great job. So much so that he made social media go all crazy and be like, hey, you SOB, you're mean, and turn back to good Keiwa, blah 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 blah. Ugh. He is doing a great job, and hopefully he continues on this career, because here, I will say this before I move on. There's some actors after Kamen Rider, they don't pursue acting whatsoever. Sure, there's some that still continues doing acting, but others, they stopped and they decide to do other things. So hopefully, like the actress who plays Neon and of course Keiwa, um, they can continue on with their careers. If not, that's good too. So all I can say is thank you, Keiwa, for entertaining me, and I still never forget the scenes where Keiwa got trapped in a cage and got painted on. Well, not necessarily painted on, but he got marked with the cat face, and also the weird hyper battle DVD thing where he got dressed up and he has the cat ears and the mittens and he does the neon dance. Oh man. Still though, I can't get over Ace's short shorts. Like, look at his legs. Ace in the short shorts. Oh man, but yeah, that's all I can say about Keiwa. Like, again, if I missed anything involving these characters that I just mentioned, feel free to write in the comments below and just add a couple of things that I miss. Let's have a discussion, guys. But let's move forward, shall we? I almost said small words. I can't talk right now, guys. I cannot talk, and already this video is gonna be very long, so I'm gonna have some timestamps, guys, so don't worry about it. Alright, kiddos, let's move on, shall we, to the next hero. Tsumuri, our beloved navigator. She had quite a change in her life, because we know her from the beginning, someone who got hired from the DGP. Whether it was Niram or Zurel himself, she was chosen to be the next navigator, to take the place of Ace's mother. And she just was doing her job, delivering writer boxes to the chosen. And she's the one who is, giving out, okay, we have this game, here are the rules, and go do your thing. She was the one in charge of, telling the writers, okay, this is the game, these are your rules. If anybody breaks them, I have to step in and try to fix it. And if I had to eliminate you because you broke a couple of rules, I would do that. So she was the one in charge, so to speak, of the games. And then when Ace won, and one of his wishes were, I wish for the members of the DGP to be my family. And so we had Gittery being Ace's father, and then Tsumuri being the sister. And it's very funny that every time Ace mentions her by calling her his sister, Tsumuri's like, gets a little bit irritated, like, I'm not your sister. And of course, Ace was like, he enjoys toying with her. And there was moments that he and Chirami, and I think it's only those two that tends to shush her, and just covers her mouth with one of their fingers and just like, shh, Ace does it more than Chirami, but I remember it was only those two. If there was more people, I forgot. I'm sorry, but I remember it was mostly Ace and Chirami that tends to shut her up a little bit. And then, it was discovered that the DGP is not only an organization, but also they tend to host this reality show where the writers go against the Jamotos and, they get a wish and blah, 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 blah. And you start to see Tsumuri changing her tone when upper management was doing, not so good things, with the whole uh I don't remember exactly, but Tsumuri was noticing a couple of things she didn't like. And then of course Chirami does a lot of bad things himself, and Tsumuri's like, why are you doing this, blah 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 blah. Obviously she cannot say anything or else she will get fired. Niram, telling Ace and the other writers that, oh, you need to do this or else. And then when it was all revealed, about what they are as the DGP being from the future, and just Niram trying to perform the grand exit, Tsumuri was like, it's not right, It's not like they uncovered they kind of uncovered the truth by themselves. It's not like anybody from the upper management told them, but regardless, they knew the truth, and they figured, okay, well, I'm gonna wipe your memories out and you're gonna leave. And then when Ace was killed along with Niram, you see her, all sad, and she unlocks her goddess powers to bring back Ace. And then, you see her change because she sees the writers like Keiwa, Neon, Ace, Michinaga as close friends of hers, and she doesn't want anything to happen to them. She is attached to them. And then once Zurel came to the picture and decides to shish kebab everything, that's where Tsumuri is like, no, I mean, this is not right. This is not right. And then the shocking reveal that apparently Zurel implanted Tsumuri goddess powers, and all that is just like, what the hell did you do to me? And then that's when she seriously says, look, I'm no longer a part of this thing. Like, this is not the DGP of old. Like, I don't want to be a part of this, And then towards the end, where Ace gave her the decision of, hey, I'm gonna create this new world. This is gonna be different. There's not gonna be DGP involved, but I would like you to help me. Would you help me? And Tsumuri ultimately says, yes, I will help you. And then, Keiwa Kaneki kidnaps her and manipulates her, and poor Tsumuri, she almost got stripped of her free will thanks to Juto. She was all dressed in white, but luckily Win rescues her, and she had a little bit of will left. She runs towards Ace, and we all know the story there. And just at the very end, it's sad that she had to be the one to kill Ace, even though we all know it wasn't truly Tsumuri at all. She was possessed by her dark half. And to this day, though, I wonder, do the other writers know the truth? That it was Tsumuri that shot Ace? That's something we will truly never know unless we were talk to Yuya as to, like, why did you leave out this important fact? Why did you not choose to reveal to the other writers, hey, Tsumuri shot Ace? I think because maybe he ran out of time, or it's just maybe Ace told the other writers off screen, like, hey, Tsumuri shot me, please do not trash her or anything. I forgave her or whatever. But you don't see Tsumuri getting involved with the other writers at all towards the very end of the episode. You see her, make this shrine, and I'm not sure if the Mark 9 buckle was actually the real Mark Buckle that turned into stone, or maybe she created it. I don't know, but that's there. She created a shrine for Ace. I mean that's cool in and of itself, because Tsumuri said at the very end, Ace did achieve what he wanted to achieve, but at a price, at the cost of his life, and also he created a world without him in it. She says a world without Ace, and she herself decided that I'm not gonna forget about Ace. Hence the mini shrine. And then she gets offered by Jean, like, hey, there's gonna be a new DGP, only this time things are gonna be different. I want you to be a part of it. And she ultimately accepts, and she looks at the wishes and gives him the best of luck, and that's the last time we ever see Tsumuri, you know. There were funny moments with her, especially with her and Chirami, and just it was an awkward pair, because you can tell that Tsumuri was like, how is this guy a game master? Like, he's an idiot. He cannot fight either. And it's just, I mean, even though Chirami may be an idiot, I mean, there were some things like, which I'm not gonna say here because this is again a hero video, but yeah, so Tsumuri had funny moments with Chirami, and of course funny moments with Ace. And there were moments where, I mean, before the sister thing was trying to hit on her, yeah. And, I remember Tsumuri appearing to Michinaga with his box, and then and Ace was, was together with her, and just like, hey, like, this is my job. I want to do this alone. Why are you here? Well, you're my sister, so I'm gonna see how you work. And which led to him autographing the shirt. And then at the end of the season, you see Ace taking her shopping, because the idea was to disguise her, and hopefully Juto does not discover her. But it was short lived, because Juto just came out from the back, and just like, he didn't say anything at all. He just stares at those two and just like, ugh. And he just leaves, and then like, yeah, we're gonna fight, and just yeah, that was like, Juto, how did you get into the back of the store? Like, you could have just went in the front door, but okay. But this is not about judo. But so yeah, there isn't too much to say about Tsumuri, except that she used to be a part of the DGP, and then after witnessing everything and learning about Ace's origins, to just being around the writers, just made her just like disown the DGP, disown Zurel, and just ultimately decided to join the good side, which she always has been. It's just officially like, no, the DGP under Zurel and Niram is bad. I'd rather be with Ace and the other writers, because she shares a bond with them. She's been through a lot with them, and she doesn't want anything bad happen to them and their world. So yeah, and at the end, to me, I don't know, to me it felt like a normal ending, but I can't help but feel sad for her, because ultimately she will have to live with the fact that, yeah, she shot Ace, point blank. Yes, she was possessed. Yes, I get that, but I think she can't help but feel responsible for his death. But at the same time, I think Ace just gave her, peace. Like, look, it wasn't you. I was preparing for this day. And yeah, don't worry about it. Because of you, I'm a god now. I'm a god now thanks to you. There's one last thing I want to mention before I move on to the next hero. I don't know what it was. Oh yes, there's one thing I want to say. I'm happy that Yuya did not turn her into a Kamen Rider, because there are some female characters that get to be Kamen Riders, but for no apparent reason whatsoever. I can name a few, but I'm not gonna name them here because this video is already long as it is. But this is me, telling the heroes in great detail. So, yeah, it's here or there. But I'm happy that Tsumuri is not a Kamen Rider. She has to be a writer under good reasons, for good reasons. But I was afraid that, they're gonna turn her into a Kamen Rider. It doesn't make any sense, but they're gonna turn her just because. But I'm happy that she didn't get turned into a Kamen Rider. And yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. It's just her ending. It's just, I don't know. I feel sad for her, but at the same time, she will continue on as a navigator under the new DGP under Jean. And yeah, I mean, she was a great navigator. She was doing the Tsumuri Chronicles. Oh yes, the awkward moments with Guillory and Ace just eating together on that house. Oh, okay. Now I remember what I was gonna say. I feel that Yuya dropped this ball where in the last episode where Ace and Tsumuri return to the old family home, and then we get to see Guillory back. I wish they had extended that scene where Ace tells Tsumuri and Guillory that, hey, I have this vision. I feel that I'm gonna die. You must be the one to kill me, Tsumuri. It's the only way to keep Surel off my back for a moment. And then the reason that I want you to kill me is because if you kill me, I'll become a god for reals, and that will help us turn the tide against Surel. Something like that. I wish there was an extended edition of that. And how Tsumuri be like, there's no way I'm gonna kill you. There's no way. And then Ace was like, this is the only way. There's no ifs, way, like there's no way. I wish it was that, but it didn't happen. But yeah, I think that's it for Tsumuri. There isn't much growth in her, but I'm happy that if I were to compare episode 1 Tsumuri and episode 49 Tsumuri, 49, yeah, they're completely different people. She had a nice growth, and she's a good character. And there's nothing more to say about that. But like I mentioned many times, if there's anything you want to add, write in the comments below. So let's move on to the next hero, shall we? Hallelujah Win, aka Pump Jack. Pump Jack. I still feel bad for you because at the tail end of your run, you had to become the punching bag of Juto. But then again, you've been everybody's um punching bag. Let's be honest here. Um, I have to say, Pump Jack's debut, uh, as he was, first introduced in his writer entry form, he had a lot of presence for someone who didn't do much. He was rebellious. If you remember how he came to be, we had an elimination. Tsumuri announced the next game, which required the writers to be into partners, and they were short. And Tsumuri introduces Pump Jack, and I can't help but stare at his helmet because it's all shiny and orangey, and it's a bear. And I don't know what's up with Yuya and bears, because how many bear riders do we have at the time? Quite a lot. Maybe 4 or 5, I believe. And the role that Punjak was put in was to be the substitute for the writer. And he got shifted to Mary to work with him. And you can tell that Punjak I felt like, what is this, what's up with this writer, because he is not willing to be a team player here, and Mary was having a horrible time working with him, to the point where he's like, can we switch partners, because he is not doing so hot with me. I honestly don't know if he was told by the higher ups to not work well with your partner, like be rebellious, don't do anything to help him or her. I'm not sure if it was due to orders, or he just simply just didn't want to participate. Either way, Mary had a hard time. And used this special card, whatever, to switch partners. And then Pumjak was given to Keiwa, and his reaction was again priceless. Like, oh man, like, Pumjak, I mean, don't get me wrong, you look cool, your name is cool, but you did give Mary a horrible time. I mean, I'm not sure. Like, I think Keiwa went in this, ooh, I don't know, but at the same time, okay, maybe he will work well with me. He didn't like working with Mary, then it should be fine. No, it was not the case whatsoever. At least he did something, but he was just rebellious, and ultimately, I don't remember who won that game, but it was just poor Keiwa. He was trying to reason with Punjak. Can you please help me? I know you don't like working with other people. I get it. You don't want to be here, but please, I need to win this for world peace. But I remember Punjak is like, but also I forgot to mention too, I know I'm jumping ahead, but this is due to memory, of course. I can never forget in that last scene with Mary and Punjak together. Mary was just sitting there in the waiting lounge, and he's just complaining that, hey, my partner sucks. And he ends up hitting him across the chest. And then Punjak decided to respond in kind. And that was it for me. I'm like, Yuya, bring this guy in. Bring him in. He's cool. But I have to say, like, when he first made his appearance, he had a presence about him. And and a lot of people on social media was like liking this writer and want, him to be, he wanted to, the audience wanted him to participate more due to that debut. And lo and behold, we did. Before I say any further, there was also rumblings on social media concerning that scene with Mary and Pumjack, hitting each other. Uh, there, according to social media, that apparently when Win hit Mary back, it wasn't on the script. It wasn't planned. And it just made the scene even more funnier and cooler. But I'm not sure if the suit writer, got a talking to because he wasn't supposed to do that. Because if you remember, he kind of hit him across the neck, I believe, or just hit him hard on the chest. I don't remember exactly. But, I mean, Mary got the wind knocked out of him. So you see him like, but it just made the scene even more cooler. And I'm sure the actor was like, no, it's cool. Don't worry about it. I'm okay. And I'm sure looking back on it, he's like, nah, I wouldn't change the thing. Planned or not, that was a cool scene. And then we got officially introduced to Hallelujah Win. He is the wannabe rock star. He was hitting on Tsumuri, and I remember Ace was giving Win the dirty look. Like, no, he ain't having it, Like, she is my sister. I'm not gonna allow my sister to date the likes of you. Even though before Ace was hitting on her. And then, Ace was partnered with Win, and next I remember, I need to go to the bathroom. I got the runs. I ate something bad before playing, so I need to go. And Ace was like, huh? Okay. And then eventually we get to discover that Win was nothing more than a plant sent by Guillory to spy on him and to sabotage Ace. Because, Guillory at the time was very concerned about Ace because he saw the previous wishes he did involving the DGP. And he is very concerned that this guy may be trying to sabotage the DGP and all that stuff. And that's why Win came into the picture to sabotage and everything else. And again, that's why you see Win and Tsumuri together, because they're workers. They know each other. And then, we get to the tail end of the Guillory saga, and poor Win. I mean, he doesn't like doing this job. You can tell he doesn't want to participate in the DGP games at all. But he's been like his arm was twisted because he got threatened by the higher ups. If you don't do this, your memory's gonna get wiped, and either do this or your memory is gone. And he always responds with okay, if I do this job, will I still keep my memories? And the answer will always be yes, until of course they take back their word, which I remember they did. But yeah, like poor Win, like he doesn't want to work for the DGP. And there was a movie about his origin story, and pretty much, as to sum it all up, he has dreams to be a rock star, and he doesn't know, like he sees himself as a rock star and nothing else. And of course his parents was like not having it, because typical parents, because parents or just people in general view music, acting, the arts in general, as they're not going to give you any good money because it's freelance and you're going to struggle and it's not permanent. And they see it as a lost cause. But for people like Win, like, no, this is what I want to do. I want to have a rock band. I want to perform in front of people. That's what I want to do. But of course, his father, I believe, didn't want Win to be a part of that world. And I'm not sure if Win was also rich like Neon. But either way, Win's father was like, you'll be working for the DGP and you're gonna like it, you're gonna get paid, and that's it. Enough with the rock star dream. And that's why he was like, oh, he didn't want to, obviously, but he was forced to do so. And maybe when he debuted in his entry form, that's his way of being rebellious. Like, nah, I'm not gonna play your game. But ultimately, he was sent by Guillory to sabotage Ace, and then unfortunately he met with a sad end where pretty much Guillory possessed Pump Jack and got turned into a human bomb. What does that tell you? And I was like, that couldn't be the end of Pump Jack here. It can't be. And if so, it's a very sad ending. It's just a very sad way to go after knowing his backstory. But ultimately, he came back along with Niram thanks to Sorel. And again, he was sent back to, again, sabotage Ace, But ultimately, instead of working with Sorel and Niram, he decided to, hey, I'm gonna work for me. I will need Tsumuri's help, which eventually they both know about Ace's origin story. He came to talk to the other writers about, Ace's origin, to Ace's mother, which again, when was telling, everything, and Keiwa was like not having it. He just stood up and walked away because he didn't want to accept the fact that Ace's mother was innocent in all of this. And then, after that, we don't see him in his writer form ever again since he came back from the dead. He's been mostly working behind the scenes, going against Sorel and Niram. And then once Sorel was first defeated and Ace became the new god of creation, he took over the DGP for a while and decided to return the writer memories back to the writers. And that's where Win officially joined the good guys. And then since then, he came in Juto. Win was working behind the scenes since he can't transform. I don't remember what happened to his ID core. I don't remember Michinaga destroying it, but either way, he wasn't in his writer form. He's working behind the scenes and getting his ass whipped many times. Win came in and sees Juto for the first time and decides to fight him. He got his ass kicked, and then he tag teamed with Ace, still get his ass whipped. And also when he was tailing Juto again, Win gets his ass kicked, but at least Tsumuri was rescued. And I still remember that backflip Juto did on Win. That was pretty cool. And I don't think it was a stunt double. I don't think so, because I saw the actor who played Juto, doing that backflip. So good on him, man. But since he came back, he's been people's punching bag, or more specifically, Juto's punching bag. Um, and then at the very end of the show, again, he's doing his best to fight against, the game masters. And then here comes Daichi and his Jamotos to help him out. And yeah, that was pretty much it. And the last scene we ever get to see Win was when he is wishing for his dream to come true, which is becoming a rock star. And yeah, that was it. I mean, for a character who really didn't do much, did a lot, because with his first debut, a lot of people want him to be a part of the show, which it did happen. And then for Win to be the guy, to be a plant, to try to sabotage Ace, and to ultimately get brainwashed and turn into a human bomb by Guthrie, and then being resurrected by Zurel, to again trying to stop Ace from doing whatever it is he's trying to do, but ultimately just said no, screw you. He went with Tsumuri and discover Ace's true origins, and then afterwards he officially joined the group. He was doing a lot of behind the scenes work, and then the whole Juto situation happened and he was getting his ass kicked a lot. But you know what? Regardless of how it turned out, I mean, I enjoy Pump Jack. I enjoy Win. I just wish he could have done a little bit more. I wish he could have done a little bit more on the front lines, but then again, as a writer. But, he got his ass kicked for Ace's cause, so, I mean, what more can you say about him? I do like Win, especially that one scene that he pulled on Mary. That was on history books. Yeah. Now we officially move on from the writers to two of the sponsors. One of them is Gene. Gene, when he was first introduced and he announced to Ace that, hey, I'm your number one fan. I want to learn everything about you, and I've been watching you, and I want to be your sponsor. And I can't help but feel like, okay, Gene is this character from Oblivion. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, is that Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, after you finish the arena and become champion, you get this NPC who claims to be a super fan, and he will follow you to the very end. He will do anything for you, like clean your gauntlets, your boots, fetch you a horse, whatever it is. He will follow you to the end because he's a super fan. And I thought, oh no, Gene is gonna be that character. Luckily, he wasn't. He wasn't, to a certain extent, and Gene was like, I think the actor who plays Gene, I think he's 18 or 19 years old, and yet he has the face of a child, which makes it even more like, oh, this guy's gonna be annoying. But he was so eager to help Ace in any way, shape, or possible, or any way, shape possible. He was at least one sponsor that really legitimately helped Ace through the tough times, unlike the other three. Um, and you can really tell that he really loves Ace as a fan, and it came to the point um, where after he unlocked the Mark II form and realized, oh, Ace is turning into Sleeping Beauty due to the side effects of the Mark II, and decided, hey, you can use my gun, and hopefully that could counteract the effects, which ultimately it did. And um and then Jean changed, because remember, Jean was like, oh, I want to learn everything about you, and if there's anything you need, you could always call. Even though Ace like appreciates it, but he's like, I already have my fans, like, thank you, but I'm cool, I'm cool. um there was a scene where Jean approached Keiwa and Neon. They were eating something, and Jean approached them and just asked questions like, hey, like, you know Ace, right? I'm his supporter. And then, okay, that's cool. And he was just asking basic questions like, what is it that he likes to eat? What time does he sleep? Where does he live? These weird questions like that, and you can tell that Keiwa and Neon was like, wow. And then he kept prying on Ace's personal life to the point where Jean approached Jean approached Neram into asking these questions about Ace, and of course Neram, as the typical producer slash politician, he's like, Jean, no, I'm not gonna help you out here. Keep prying and, suffer consequences, that sort of thing. Until eventually he came with the answer on his own, and this is where that awkward scene that I mentioned during the Ace, in the beginning, the Ace part, where Jean, when Ace woke up from his nap and then suddenly decides to go to the warehouse for no apparent reason. He was still half asleep. Jean just went inside the waiting lounge, all excited, and be like, I know what you are. And that stupid soundtrack playing in the background. And then Ace is like, he has that look on his face like he was not interested whatsoever. Because mind you, he just woke up. And then Jean was, revealing what Ace is. And it felt flat. It felt very flat. And then the character of Jean changed the moment where Ace was almost got killed by the Mistress of Games. Luckily, he was. Luckily, someone came in and stopped the bullet. But poor Jean, like, he tried to stop Azu 2.0, but he couldn't, and he nearly lost Ace. And this is where Jean starts to change a little bit, because he nearly lost Ace, and then there was this one scene with them together, and just revealing that, hey, I'm from the future, we don't really have any feelings whatsoever. And Ace was talking to him like, dude, it's okay, and you see poor Jean was about to cry, that his actions, his pride, his invasion into Ace's personal life nearly cost him his life. And he just, like, you could see him crying a little bit, and Ace is like, no, it's fine. And this is where Ace, really opened up to Jean about his personal life. And then that's when, Jean really just took a step back and just reflect on what he did, and that's why he left for a couple of episodes and then he came back to really help Ace out. And then during the grand ending part, he is sad that he will never get to see Ace again, because the grand ending, Zurel, when both him and Kiru were like, we have to go back to the future, and you can see that last scene of Gene was like, sayonara Ace, with the sad look on his face. And then in the last episode, you see Gene came back again. It wasn't told how he came back. Is if like, we don't know, and it sucks that I wish Yuya would have explained as to how did Kiru and Gene return, because the last time we saw them together was going through that portal back to their own time. So how are they able to come back? But Gene is, happy to see Tsumuri, happy to see the shrine, and appreciates her for, just making sure that Ace's memories still remain on this earth. Because remember, what Ace did is created a world without him in it. Tsumuri said so. And, Jean at the very end offered Tsumuri her job back because there's going to be a new DGP in town. And that's the last time we ever saw Jean. In terms of Gene, I mean, he did so much. Out of all the supporters, Gene did the most lead work, because as a super fan, he was willing to do anything for Ace. He was willing to know everything about him. And you kind of wish that all the other supporters would have done the same as Gene, but no, because you have Kiru, which I will do next, that didn't do much. He didn't do much. And then you have Kermit the Frog, which I will do on the villain side. Like, I have nothing to say. I will save it for the next video about him. And then, of course, Azu 2.0. She has her own evil intentions too, Most of it is to feed her own desire for despair and just to cause chaos. And yeah, that was it. Gene, Gene in the beginning was like, oh man, he's gonna be so annoying. But at the end, where he kind of did at the end, at least, he had that break, and then he came back and officially, helped Ace. And I mean, without Gene, I don't think Ace would have gone too far, in my opinion. But him as a super fan, and just, I mean, I want to have a super fan like that. Seriously, I want to have a sponsor like that. But I don't know. And I have to say, with him being a Kamen writer, I will mention this again. I mean, the actor who plays Gene was living the dream, because for years, I saw him like when he was a little kid in the O's movie, and then to see him 18, 19 years old and finally got his dream to becoming a Kamen writer. He wasn't wearing the suit that I know, at least that I know, but he is officially, known as Kamen Rider Gene, and he has his own toy now. I mean, he's living the dream. I bet he was crying that finally, after all these years, I finally become a Kamen Rider. And, I wish I had that moment too, but it is what it is. So kudos to him. Yeah, so that's it. That's all I have for Gene. And we will move on to Kiru. Kiru, when he was first introduced, he was a douchebag. he was a douchebag towards Neon, and he was giving out advice during the Death Star arc, and Neon just like the way Q was being brutal, like, ooh, Neon was like, no, I'm not having it. And you say you're a fan? Like, screw you. I mean, all what he said at that time was true. You know, he was looking out for her. It's just later we get to discover that according to him, you know, when he's writing to Neon, he says all the nice things. But when he tries to say them, you know, in words, it just somehow, some way turns into it reverses. Like all the nice things he's gonna say turns to mean things. He even said so. And you know, he didn't reveal himself until later on. You see Neon in his room with yellow flowers, I believe, and there was an iPad, there's letters, and just letters to her that, hey, I'm your sponsor. Since I saw you, you picked my interest, so that's why I picked you. Obviously, it became more than just that. And then we move on to Azu 2.0 and revealing the dirty laundry to the world. And that's where Kiryu was forced to reveal himself and tries to help Neon, but Neon was like, you're my sponsor? Like, you're the one who's been telling me nice things, and yet when you showed yourself that first time, you were very brutal? Like, what's going on here? And, you know, and Kiryu didn't know how to, how you say, help. It took Ace to really knock some sense into him and be like, hey, are you supposed to be Neon's sponsor? She's out there crying her eyes out in the middle of the night, and just like, she's in pain, and you're not doing anything, you're just sitting there. You know, it took Ace to really make him wake up and just really tend to Neon. And then, you know, when it's Neon's turn during one of the JGP games, she was almost as if, you know, almost as if she's letting the monster kill her. Up until Kiryu came in and just say, hey, you know, you have much to live for. I know you're in pain. Let me help you. And that's where he transforms, helps Neon on, and they both win the match. And this is where we don't see Kiryu and Neon after this, because, you know, Neon said, look, I'm in pain right now. And I have to go. And then Kiryu helps her to the door, and we don't see them together all that much afterwards. And then, you know, the world is reborn, remade under Michinaga's rule. Neon was with the Men in Black, and I remember Kiryu was trying to knock some sense into Neon, like, hey, like, remember me? You know, you were a Kamen Rider, and please, you know, snap out of it. Your friends need your help, whatever it was. And Neon obviously doesn't remember Kiryu. You know, she assumes that he's a cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, until, you know, Neon got her memory back. She was talking to Kiryu, and at least before, Kiryu didn't do much until Neon was like scowling at him, like, look, next time if I lose my memories and you see me happy, don't. I need to remember my memories. You need to be the one who gives me back my memories, okay? Do not act as if, oh, I'm happy now and I'm better off. Don't give me that crap. I remember that scene. And then when Neon, you know, decides like I will participate in the Desire Royale only to end my existence. I mean, Kiryu tried his best to not do that. He was just, please do not go further with this. Please do not wish for that. I mean, let's go to the future together. Let's go. Let's do that instead. And Neon was still heartbroken. It's like, no, I can't. So she went on to do her thing, and then Kiryu left, and then he came back to be officially Neon's boyfriend, helping her out with her live streams, and that was the end. That was the end of it. I mean, you have Jean, who really went through heaven and earth to give Ace information, to giving him his gun to help him counteract with the side effects of the Mark II. He did everything for Ace, and then when you go to Kiryu, he didn't really do much. Am I wrong? I mean, he didn't do anything, really. I mean, at the end, he indeed helped Neon out, but not to the extent of Jean, you know. And he was there for a short period of time, you know. It's just, I don't know. Kiryu, like, all he did was write letters to Neon and be socially awkward towards Neon, until eventually Ace knocked some sense into him and be a sponsor to Neon, go help her, which he did. And then he goes away with Jean, and then he comes back to be Neon's boyfriend. I don't know what to tell you guys. Unless I missed something, you could always add, on the comments, like, well, Kiryu did this. Remember, Kiryu did that. You could do that, but otherwise, I have to say, Kiryu didn't do much for me. He didn't do much. He tried, at least, but nah, he's not a Jean. He's not a Jean. Oh, yes. So we're heading to the final 3 heroes. We're close to the end. I'm sorry that this video is longer, but again, I need to give the characters it's just dues their attention. And like I said before, if I miss anything, you could always add them in the comments below and we will discuss. Because this is memory. This is from memory. And these are just my opinions only. Alright? This is just my opinions only. Last thing I want to say, in terms of Kiryu's quote-unquote writer form, he's not a Kamen Rider. He's a Zord. He transforms into a Zord. And him writing and have Neon on top, that was pretty cool. That's all I'm going to say about that. So, Sae, Kamen Rider Lobo. She was great. She had a minimum amount of showtime, but my God, she was a great character. Like, I felt like she really was, like, she had a presence towards her. She had this leadership quality. She's not afraid of getting her hands dirty. She did well, using the zombie buckle and all that. I mean, I have to say, like, Lobo, Sae, I wish Yuya would have kept her. Honestly, it's one of those missed opportunities that Yuya, because she was first introduced along with Daichi after the Gyuri Chronicles and all that, and the new regime took over, and all was revealed that, the DGP is hosting this reality show, blah, 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 blah. And then we get to know that both Daichi and Sae know Ace from previous games. And we get to see her do her thing. To me, she oozes leader. She's a good fighter. And once we get to know her and her wish, like she wants to, her wish is to help out more with her restaurant and to help out with her siblings, her younger brothers and sisters. And then, she got eliminated. And due to the fact that, oh, I'm going to take the fall for Neon. And she explained herself, because I remember afterwards Neon approached Saya as to why she did what she did. Unfortunately, I do not remember what she told her, but ultimately she says, I believe in you, I believe in your cause, and that sort of thing. So I wish I knew the conversation she had between her and Neon. And then she got eliminated, and then on social media I saw Yuya and the actress who played her receiving her flowers, and like, oh, why? Because when we get further down into the season, I was like, Lobo needs to be in it. Lobo needs to be in it, because I felt like the whole world is ending, and I feel like Lobo would have helped out with the other writers, even if it was only temporary. I wish Lobo was there. And of course you might say, well, Lobo's story pretty much ended because there's no reason for her to come back. I mean, there was reason for her to come back. Because especially when during the Desire Royale, and with the Neon situation of trying to end her existence, that would have been a perfect time for her to come back and join the ranks of Keiwa, Sara, and Neon to form this all-time team, while you have the two-man power trip of Ace and Michinaga. Have this group. I know Keiwa would be, feeling weird that he's the only boy in this all-girl group. But hey, he could disguise himself as a girl, since remember, he was trying to avoid Sara at all costs. He even became, Pincha, or that that fake sponsor, that statue, and that weird voice. So he could pull off a girl. I mean, he can do it. But yeah, I believe Saya was a lost opportunity to have her continue on the show and help her contribute. And at the end of the episode, the final episode, we could see her at her restaurant, getting customers, while in the next scene you see her attending with her siblings, and it would have been a cool thing, in my opinion. But Sae was a lost opportunity, and I wish Yuya would have asked the actress to stay. I mean, just like Pump Jack, I wish, Sae, was, receive the same way, And she was in the movie with Pump Jack and Think the Old Man as well. But still, man, Sae was pretty cool. She was a badass. She earned it. And I wish she would have stayed in the show a little bit longer than what she received. But that's just my opinion, And lastly, I want to say, again, Neon can form relationships, especially among the girls, so quickly. You can tell that with Sara, and you can definitely tell with Sara, and you can definitely tell with Sae. They really form a bond during that short period of time, and I wish Yuya would have executed, milk it, further, and have her brought back. Have Sae help with the situation with the battle royale to the Keiwa situation, Keiwa Kaneki, and that sort of thing. That's just my opinion. Again, if you feel differently or you share the same feelings that I have towards Sae, write on the comments below. Let us talk. Now, before I touch these two characters, speaking of Sara, let's move on to Sara. She is a good older sister. I wish she was my sister. She is very supportive towards Keiwa. She, ever since their parents passed away, she and Keiwa were just living on their own. And I feel that Sara, really helped, help Keiwa grow up. And we all know after her supposed death that the whole reason for Keiwa desiring world peace was for his sister. That was the only reason. He treats her like a queen, and she's very supportive, like, hey, whatever it is you want to do, go for it. I'm here to support you. Look, I can work while you either find work or just searching for yourself. I will do that for you. And not every sibling or a parent are like that at all, in my opinion. And Sara was such a Neon fan. You see her on her phone watching the live stream, and when she heard that, hey, my brother knows Neon, and she gets all super excited. I remember the first time she met Neon face to face, and she's like, oh my god, it's Neon. Oh my god, I watch your shows. I'm a fan. And how do you know my brother? My brother's a loser. Like, how did you know? Yeah, and she was a happy, positively, good older sister. And then, well, before I mention anything else, we all knew that Sara will eventually be participating in the games. It's just we didn't know when it's gonna happen until she got involved in the Heaven and Hell game, and she was literally trapped into a corner where she was trapped in this spot, and she's afraid that, oh, if I pick the wrong color, I'll fall to my doom, and that sort of thing. And I don't remember Sara witnessing her own brother's demise as Michinaga threw Keiwa through that hole of doom and turned into bubbles. And that's where Sara unfortunately got involved in the DGP games due to Kermit the Frog's interference. I'm not going to say too much because I want to save it for the villains video, but Sara was meant to be the sacrifice for Keiwa's eventual turn to the ideal Kamen Rider that Kermit only dreamt of for him. But I think I like Sara being a part of the DGP games because if it weren't for her, then Neon would have been where she's at right now. Sara obviously joined because she had no choice. Because Kermit the Frog told her, like, hey, look, you need to participate in the games or else Keiwa will return as dead. He will be back, like he will never return. So you need to participate in the games. And then she met Neon again, and she was super excited to be working with her. And once she heard that Neon is trying to end herself if she ends up winning, that's where Sarah's like, nope, that's not gonna happen. I'm your number one fan. So yeah, we have a number one fan. In, you know what? Scratch what I said about uh what I said earlier in the Kiru story. Neon has indeed have a super fan, you know, and Sara was willing to forego on her wish and be like, hey, instead of getting what I want, I'm gonna wish for you. I wish for you to be happy. And I remember Keiwa, Neon, and Sara doing that thing with her fists. And it's just, oh man, I wish she was brought in earlier. She was brought in earlier, and unfortunately, she sucks as a Kamen Rider. But you know what? She entered in the most awkward, like she entered in late. She entered in the games late. If she were to enter with her brother and Neon at the same time, then she would have been okay. She would have been able to defend herself. But you can tell that Sara is too green. You can tell. But it's not her fault. She came into the games late. But, she was willing to do anything for Neon. And then afterwards, when Michinaga destroyed both their ID cores, Ace managed to bring back all the writers' memories back. Sara was talking with Neon, and they were discussing, well, I left home. I've decided to live on my own. It's just I don't know what to do. And then of course you have Sara was like volunteering, be like, hey, I will find you a home. And she did, and Neon's like, okay, I have a home, so what's next? And Sarah's like, you need appliances, you need a couch, you need a television, you need a bed. Oh, where can I find that? And Sarah's like, okay. You know what? Let me find those things for you. You don't need to do anything. Just do you, or do a live stream, do whatever. I'll be in charge of your housing arrangements. Don't worry about it. I mean, Sara could be a good real estate agent. Real estate agent. Or hell, why not just Sara volunteer to be Neon's personal assistant? Instead, you see her at the office doing her thing, wishing for a ton of things. And I'm like, I mean, regardless of what you thought about Sara, at the beginning, I was like, okay, she's just there for Keiwa. But then when she entered into DGP games, and we get to know her a bit more and how cheerful she is, and especially how she's such a super fan around Neon, I was like, oh man, I wish you could have put her in sooner. Even though, remember the Christmas episode where Yuya is infamous of killing off a character during Christmas. Here I thought Sara was gonna be the one to get killed off. And I was like, oh, maybe this is it. Sarah's gonna get killed off, and maybe Keiwa can turn to the dark side. Oh, that would have been it. But it didn't happen. Instead, the honor went to Michinaga, which eventually he was brought back from the dead due to the magic of the zombie buckle. and he became like a Hapjimoto. I mean, yeah, you lost your opportunity there to give us that shocking factor. Because when Michinaga was the one who got killed off, I'm like, that was not it. No. Especially when you brought him back. But then again, Kamen Rider, they always bring the writers back from the dead anyways, so it wasn't too much of a shocker. But if the decision was for Sara to be the one, then Keiwa will have reasons to go all dark side and be all girl angry at the world, you know. And then his wish would really be in effect, like, I wish for all the dead people, including my sister, to be brought back to life. It would have light a fire underneath his ass to really do whatever means necessary to get what he wants. For his sister's sake, of course. So yeah, another missed opportunity, Yuya. But still, Geats is still among the top 5, so don't worry about it. It wouldn't have been perfect, but a good, like, there is such thing as a great show, but to be a perfect show, there's no such thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed Sara as her time being a Kamen Rider, being the assistant to Neon, and really helping her out. Like, Sara is the gene, for Neon, because we have Ace and Gene, and then you have Neon and Sara, because unlike Hiru, at least Sara would do anything for her. Hell, she helped find her a house. She helped with the appliances. What does that tell you about her? And she is a great sister to Keiwa. She is. She is the sole reason why Keiwa is the way he is now. And props to her. And the actress who plays her, she did a great job. Because with her and Keiwa, they really did act it like they were legit related. They made me feel like, hey, they really are related. They really are brother and sister, But hey, that's it for Sara. I mean, that's it for her. Now, last, and certainly not least, it's another missed opportunity. The Men in Black. The Men in Black. Oh my god. The intro, just finding Neon with the briefcase. It's like, madam, we're taking him back home. Like, golly. Every single time Neon tries to escape, here comes the Men in Black. And they're not too far until eventually they get her and the whole thing starts all over again. And then the cool part about it is that later on in the season, we get to discover that they used to be Kamen Riders. They found their ID cords, they call in Neon and say, hey, we remember that we used to be Riders too. And then, everything is quiet down and they were talking in English. And they openly admitted to each other that, hey, like, Neon is not doing these weird getaways anymore. And they kind of missed that. They kind of missed that. They openly admit that, yeah, they were having fun trying to find Neon. But since they stopped, it's like, I missed that already. And then the sad part, which I'm kind of upset about, was that, okay, we have Michinaga coming in, going after Neon, and you see the Men in Black using their ID cords. We get to see them transform into Kamen Riders, and it gets immediately cut. Like, we don't see the fight between Michinaga and the Men in Black at all. You see them transform into their entry forms, but then you see them running towards Michinaga, and that was it. Because it cuts, and then we get to Neon meeting up with Azu 2.0, and that's it. And then after their talk, Michinaga destroys their ID cores and they disappear. They get Thanos. And I don't think we ever saw them again. Like, not even in the last episode. The last episode we see Kiru and Neon doing their thing, but we don't see the Men in Black whatsoever. And it's just like, dude, man, we need to see more of the Men in Black. It's just another missed opportunity. And also, I want to, like, what was the reason for cutting off the battle scene between the Men in Black and Michinaga? Why is that? And a lot of people on social media assume, like, well, they're foreigners, and they probably, I hate to say it, but maybe there was a little bit of racism, as social media claims it to be, but I don't think it's true. Maybe, I don't know, I'm just assuming, but it's just like, I would have rather see them have their own fight scene with Michinaga. I want to see them fight, even if it's like less than 5 minutes. I would have want to see them in their suit forms fighting the all-powerful Michinaga, and then witness their ID cores getting destroyed, and that was it. To this day, like, are they still alive after Ace did his thing, or they're officially dead? But I don't think they're dead, because all we saw is their ID cores being broken. That was it. So I'm sure they're out there, or maybe they got fired. They don't need to have bodyguards anymore. I don't know, but it's just a missed opportunity to have more Men in Black in there. And also, I really want to know the reason why they immediately cut away from the fight between them and Michinaga. That's the only... I want to know. I really want to know. But yeah, it's just... we need more Men in Black. But I know what you're going to say. Like, why you want to add the Men in Black in the Heroes video? I mean, they're the Men in Black. They're the one who is guarding Neon. They're the ones who now got their memories back. They were Kamen Riders. Why not? And they did do their job in protecting Neon at the very end. I just wish, they deserve a little bit better in terms of, hey, we want to see their battle. Even if it's less than 5 minutes. I want to see it. It's just, it rubbed me the wrong way when they transform and they just immediately cut. That's it. To me, it kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But that's just my opinion. But yeah, other than that, that's all the heroes that I have mentioned. If I miss anybody at all, just write in the comments below, But that's all the heroes that I have listed for Kamen Rider Geats. In terms of suits, I mean, they're better than Revice. I can tell you that much. I mean, some of the suits of Revice were good, but, I believe that the suits for Geats were way better. The suit actors, the stunt people, they're the true heroes of this show, because I can tell that they were amping it up. They were like getting their game on, because in past Riders seasons, they weren't giving much in terms of the stunts and all that stuff, but here you can seriously tell, man. Like, the suit actors were giving their all, and especially during the fight scenes. My favorite fight scenes, my favorite fight scene will have to be, Juto versus Ace. and how they just threw down their weapons and just went bare fists. And you can tell that the actors in those suits were really dishing it out, and I have to give kudos to them. They're the true heroes, in my opinion. So good job on them. Good job, sub team. Um, yeah. The only disappointing part is the Mark III form. It only showed up for one episode, one scene, and then that was it. We never got the chance to actually witness the Mark III form at all, and it sucks. But I don't know. I don't know why. What's the decision behind that? But it's a disappointing thing. So briefly with the suits, I mean, they're better. They're cool. It's just, again, I just don't like the repainted suits all that much anymore because it just lacks creativity and it's just laziness. Toei has a lot of money, but apparently the studio burned most of the money on King Olger in the CGI, which I'm not going to discuss it here because it's already long as it is. But hey, if you have any opinions about the writer suits at all, at least for the good writers, again, write on the comments below. If I miss any heroes on this video, write on the comments below. If you want to add to any of the heroes that I just mentioned on this video, again, write on the comments below. Let us interact as Kamen Rider fans, guys. Alright, guys. This is it. This is my heroes video of all the Kamen Rider heroes in Geats. And I have to say, as a finisher, thank you so much for entertaining me and so many other Rider fans. You did a great job. And you can tell that the cast really clicked. They really clicked. You can tell that Keiwa and Sara were legitimately sisters and brothers. And you can tell, like, the clicking. It was a dream casting. And whoever was the casting director really did a great job in casting those people. So, yeah, thank you so much for a great year, heroes. And I'll see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Thank you, Geats. Thank you, Geats. Johnny.